does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again for another episode of Games In, Games Out, where I talk about the games that are going into my collection, the games that are going out of my collection, and everything in between. So, right now, let's get started. So, the first one we got is Pikoko from Brain Games. This is a really interesting trick-taking game where you are not going to see the cards in front of you, and you are going to wager on how many tricks you're going to take based on what other people do, and based on the fact that the person to your right is actually going to be playing your hand, and you're playing the hand of the person to on your left. Very interesting trick-taking game. Really bends your brain. Easy to learn, easy to teach. Keeping this one, really did enjoy it. Next, we have Triply Dice. It is over 7 years old, and it's god-awful. It's a big pile of crap. It's a terrible, mass-market, completely 100% luck-driven game, and I can't recommend it to anybody. Yeah, so it's just bad. It's bad, 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 naughty, bad. Next, we have Mastermind for Kids, a very light version of Mastermind. It's a little bit too easy. It's the kind of game where the kid is always going to win. Even my 5-year-old wins it every single time, but he really enjoys it, so I'm keeping it at home so I can play with my 5-year-old. I'll probably bring it into my classroom so I can play with the younger 5-year-olds from time to time. But Mastermind for Kids, if you have very young kids, I'd say ages 4 to 6 or 7 years old, they will get a kick out of this one, and it actually sets up nicely for Mastermind. I played this with some of the younger kids in my class, and then I played the regular Mastermind, so I am going to be keeping this one just play with my son. Next, we have Walk the Dogs, which is actually a pretty decent family game. I liked it. I'm not going to be keeping it, though, because I'm scrapping it for the really super awesome components. Also, a little funny story about the game is I didn't have the rules, and the rules were nowhere to be found online, so I had to get a, I think it was like a Japanese version of the rules, or a Spanish version of the rules, or something like that, and then Google translate it as best I could, and then kind of piecemeal it together from videos and that. Anyhow, I'm just using it for pieces. So, it's going. The rest of the pieces are going to my class, so kids can play with them, because the dogs are really cute. Next, we have Scarabia from Blue Orange Games. This is a really interesting solo game, pretty much, that you can play with up to 4 players, where everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. You're going to start with an identical board. You're going to put these pieces on the board based on what cards come out, and you're trying to score points by collecting scarabs. It's good. It's not good enough to keep, though. Not really good enough to recommend. I think it's a good game, but abstract strategy is my least favorite genre, so this one out of the collection. Next, we have GFY, Go F Yourself. This is a really bad take that style card game that comes in a tuck box. It has no reason to exist. And the sense of humor would appeal to like 13-year-olds, but it's, you know, it's for ages 18 plus. It's good, like D's nuts jokes, which I like. I like D's nuts. I like saying that from time to time. Your mom, that's what she said. I like that stuff. I still do. I'm a childish guy. But the game itself is not really funny. It's the kind of thing where you look at the cards and be like, huh, that's kind of humorous. But no. Just no. Out of my collection. Next, we have Intervention, which I kept for a very long time because I actually really like the game. But I realized it's been sitting there, it's collecting dust. It's a party game for everyone's worst habits. I actually have to look at the back of the box to remember what it's about. Swipe right, swipe left. Who's likely... Oh, likes everyone on Tinder. This is the one where you get like a really uncomfortable or bad thing in the middle of the table. Like who's the biggest, skis ball, who's the biggest creeper, who's most likely to date somebody 15 years younger, or something like that, who's most likely to cheat on their spouse. And everybody just kind of guesses, and you kind of learn what your friends think about you. I like the game. I'm actually giving it to my buddy Eric, so we can play it at his house, because I do like it, but it just never gets played here. Next, we have Isolate. This is an abstract strategy game, which has a really nice components, which actually slide into the bottom of the unit. Like, this is the whole unit right here, but the pieces slide into the bottom. It's really hard to get out of the box, apparently, which I don't remember. It's a fun little sliding game. I'm giving it to some kid in my class for good behavior. It's not good enough for me to keep. I think it's a good abstract strategy game. I don't think it's great. Nothing special. Next, we have Clue, which is... Oh, man, Clue. It's nostalgic, but it's still not worth keeping because here's the bottom line. It's still roll and move, and if someone's rolling 6s a lot, they're going to crush you, and if someone's rolling 1s a lot, they're probably not going to do well. And there's also this really weird rule that you don't remember, which is whenever anyone says your name and says, I think it was this person here and there, they take your piece and they move your piece into their room. So if you think someone's about to win the game, or about to find out something really valuable by going to like the hall or the library or something, you could just go somewhere all the way across the map and say, I think it was this person, and they have to move their piece all the way over there. It's a super annoying mechanism, and the game itself while I still do like the deduction, I think it's great for kids to learn the deduction skill. I think there's better games that have surpassed this when it comes to deduction that don't have roll and move. So yeah, Clue. This one's going into the classroom, where I'm sure some kid is going to snatch it up real fast and take it home, and some parents could be like, "Oh my gosh, did you give us a copy of Clue?" Like, yeah, there you go. Mr. Forrest is awesome. Next, we have Istanbul, the dice game from AEG. This is great. This is a great game. Just flat out. I gave it a solid 8. I think I gave it like an 8.1. Really like this. Very light, simple dice rolling game. It went over well in my classroom. It went over well on game night. Biggest con I have with it, 2 to 4 players, so it doesn't go higher than 4 players. It has some interesting tiles, some interesting choices. You know, do I want to take the victory points early, because the victory points will get progressively more expensive throughout the game, or do I want to take these super awesome tiles and cards that will give me awesome persistent special abilities? Well, the tiles will, the cards not so much. And it has some interesting choices. I like it. I think it would be the kind of game that would get way better with an expansion, so I hope AEG follows up on this game, because I do dig the game quite a good deal going into the collection. Probably going into, actually this is going into the classroom, because the kids really liked it in the classroom. Next we have New Salem, the Constable expansion, which is actually the standalone game. It adds this concept into New Salem, which was a social deduction game that I thought was good. I think it was great. You know, it's one of those ones where it's like I get the Kickstarter and I'm like, yeah, I like the game, but I don't know if I'd recommend it over other social deduction games. And this one adds, you know, it's pretty much just the second edition of the game, and they did add a minor expansion. What I did like really about this is it adds more event cards. So pretty much what I would say about this is, if you didn't like the original New Salem, I wouldn't back this. But if you did like the original New Salem, then I would back this, because it does have more event cards in the Constable, which is a really interesting twist, where pretty much only one person per round. Initially, for the most part, one person per round is going to have the option to trigger events. I mean, more than one person can, but it's going to be, you know, kind of costly. I didn't explain that well. But yeah, pretty much if you like it, you might want to back it. If you didn't like it, then... Next, we have Board and Serve. This is a pretty good... I would say it's a really good worker placement game. I don't think it's great, but I think it's a really good worker placement game. Very light, very simple, where you're going to be placing your little pieces onto tables. You're going to be playing superheroes weighting tables, but everybody's going to have 2 special abilities. You're going to use one of your special abilities each turn. It's area control and worker placement, mostly area control. But I liked it. I really dug it. It's unfortunate. I think it's doing pretty poorly on Kickstarter right now. But I think it's a rock solid game. I think if you are into lighter games, or maybe like kind of step up games, like Small World-esque level games, I think this is one you really enjoy. Great artwork. The theme's really odd, but I did dig this game. I thought it was really good, and I hope it does get funded, because I want a copy of it. I don't know if I would keep the copy on my shelf for a long time. I might. It really depends, I think, on one thing. I think it needs more worker placement spots. Like, most of the time you'll be placing your workers onto tables and fighting over who has control of the table so you can get the tips, but I think the worker placement spots really would open up this game. Either way, I think it's a really good game that you might want to check out. Next, we're going to start it like this. Battleship, which, Battleship game, old school, classic game, not keeping it because other versions of Battleship have surpassed it. It's a dinosaur game, but that being said, kids still love it. The kids in my class still went nuts for Battleship. So pretty much, if you have kids that are going to be playing this, then yes, you might want to get it, because they will have fun with the game. But I put it like this. I think it's like a really bad ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. It's like most of the time you're going to be getting misses. Miss, and the relationship's bad, but every once in a while you get a hit. It's like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then normally that hit's going to be another hit, because you kind of know which way to go. And it's like, yeah, this is fantastic. Then once you sink it, and it's like, oh, back, miss. Not a great, well-designed game. I'd actually get one of the older, more updated versions of Battleship. Like Pirates of the Caribbean Battleship is better than this. Battleship Advanced Mission is better than this. Pretty much, they built on the game since then, but you can still play the older version of Battleship. So, not one I can recommend for the most part. Speaking of games I can't recommend for the most part, and I'm going to say for the whole part, is Life, the Game of Life. Which, man, this game really stinks looking back at it. The paper money is terrible. There's so much housekeeping with the paydays and the paper money, because it's just like, oh, what do you need? 75,000. So it's just like paper money. Oh, you want auto insurance? Here's the paper auto insurance and homeowners insurance. But oh, you have to remember that you have to pay this person because they're the rock star and you went to a concert. You have to pay this person because they're the teacher and you went to night school. Or oh, do you have houseowner's insurance? Or oh, I forgot, I shouldn't have paid this homeowner's insurance back here because blah 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 blah. Or you have life tiles that completely are disjointed from your life. It's like, oh, I won President of the United States, and I invented new pudding, and I ran a 5K while drunk, or something like that. It's just not a good game, and it drags out, and it essentially has player elimination because the first person to finish just sits there and waits for everybody else to finish. It has a lot more flaws than you actually remember. It's not a good game, not one I could recommend. Now, we talking about games I can recommend. This game right here, I actually give a solid 8. The Game of Life Twist and Turns. The biggest con, though, is it's 2 to 4 players, so it doesn't go up to 6 players like the original Life. But wow, check out my review of this one if you're interested in it, because it's really cool. This Game of Life is ran completely on this little thing right here, and credit cards, and all your information, for the most part, is going to be stored on your credit card. And it's going to keep track of your life points. It's going to keep track of your money. It's going to keep track of paydays. It's going to, you can win the lottery in this. You can buy cars in this. You can get married in this, and all of it impacts your life. So if you get married and you have kids, then you have a better life because you're actually forming a life. Whereas if you also can climb up the salary track. So you're going to get like this card that will have a job on it. So for instance, this one is aviation. So you start off as a baggage handler. Then you can go to a flight attendant, air traffic controller, navigator, helicopter pilot, commercial airline pilot, airline executive, and you make progressively more money as you go down the thing. But the really cool aspect of this game is the fact that you choose where you want to go. So you can go adventuring. Like there's 4 different paths on the board. So one of them is like you go on adventures and you live your life, you spend your mid-20s backpacking Europe, that sort of thing. Or you can go, raise a family and get married and have kids, and you can go on that track. Or you can go to college and make sure you're getting like a PhD so you can be the smartest person possible and hopefully get, promotions. Or you can go on the promotion track where it's like you just work really hard and you can get promotions which, bump you up. But at a certain point, for instance, on the aviation, if you want to become a navigator, you have to get a degree. If you want to become a commercial airline pilot, you have to have a PhD. And if you want to have an airline executive, you have to just get super lucky, which pretty much just means you play the lottery. It's a great family game. Absolutely recommend this one if you're in the market for a Game of Life. If you're looking into buying Life, get this version of Life, as long as you're not playing with more than 4 players. That is the Game of Life Twist and Turns. Really a great game that I really did enjoy. Alright then, the next game we got is Ghosts of the Moor from Tasty Minstrel Games. I thought this was a very good to great family weight game. Not so much on the game night side. It had some flaws that the game really couldn't overcome. And while everyone enjoyed the game, they thought it was okay, it's not something I really recommend. And the box is small enough that I'm going to keep it in my classroom, but I don't know how long it's going to last. Still one that I did enjoy. And if you have younger kids, I'd say ages 8 to 14, I think they're really going to get a kick out of this one. It's got some really simple roll and move mechanisms, easy to learn, easy to teach. One that I think could have used a little bit more meat on the bones, but still a good one. Ghosts of the Moor. Gonna be keeping it in my classroom. Next we have War Chest. This game is great. I stinking love this game. This is my favorite that I can think of abstract strategy game. It's a really cool game. It's got these poker chips. You're moving around. Each of the poker chips has different ways they can move, a la chess, and you're trying to capture these different battle points. And I really like this game. I hope it does well because I want more poker chips. I liked it at 2 players. I liked it at 4 players. I liked it with adults. I liked it with kids. Absolutely one going into my collection. That is War Chest from AEG. Definitely one to check out. Don't let this fly under your radar. Very cool box as well. Next, speaking of amazing games, Rise of Queensdale. This is a legacy game. See a review of it. I think this is my 2018 game of the year. I really do. It is October 30th at the time of shooting this. I think this currently is my game of the year. It's spectacular. It's a fantastic legacy game. Very simple mechanisms. It's a very simple, set collection, worker placement game, but each and every game of this, and I think there's 18 to 20 games of this, we were captivated by the story. It was weaving in the different things that were happening. Absolutely one that if you have the group to play this, go check it out. Right now, it's pure legacy, though, so I'm just going to get rid of all the components, give them to the kids in my class, but still, love this game. Next, we have Tossed Salad Game, which, yes, is made up of crumpled pieces of paper. And I think I gave this one like a 6.6 because I think it's a good adult party game. I had fun with it. The people I was playing with enjoyed it. It's got a times-uppy, gamery style mechanism in it where you play a second and third round, but it gets progressively more difficult, and you try and have to remember what other people said. But my biggest con of this game is that it's literally just crumpled up paper. Like, it is just paper. You could make this game yourself in about 15 to 20 minutes with the help of everybody at the party. So that makes it really hard for me to recommend. But if you don't mind the fact that the components are nothing but paper and a salad bowl, then yeah, this one's a good adult party game. It's not great, doesn't set itself apart. This one I'm giving to my buddy who has all my adult party games. Probably won't get played, but still. So not really one I can recommend. Next we have Create a Clown, which is an old school game where you're going to roll dice and create a clown. Whoever's the highest clown, tallest clown, not the highest clown, is going to win the game. Highest clown, that'd be funny. I'll put it like this, and I think I posted this on the review. I gave it like a 7 if you're playing this with 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, or 4-year-olds. If you're playing that with anybody else, it's like a 2.7. It's a god-awful game that you have no control of. You just roll the dice, put a piece on, and build a clown. Not one I can recommend. My son did enjoy it, so I'm going to be keeping it for probably the next few months until he really gets down counting to 6. Right now he can count to 3. I think when he turns... yeah, he can count to 3 right now, so once he gets good at counting to 6, I'm going to get rid of this game, though, because it's not that good. Just be scrapped for components. Next, we have Dice and Dragons from Golden Egg Games. Great game. Pure and simple. It's a really interesting family game. It's family weight. I do want to stress that. It's a family weight game. It's a dice chucking game where you're trying to defeat these dragons by getting special abilities. So it's got a Yahtzee-esque style mechanisms where it's like, all right, I need 3 swords and then I can whack the dragon and do 8 points to the dragon. But if I roll a dragon on my last turn, then the dragon's going to attack me, but you can buy life potions, and it goes from game to game to game to game. I think there's 8 different dragons that you're going to face, and your character is going to slowly level up, gaining experience, gaining golds. You'll be going into town and buying like healing potions and buying special things that will help you fight the dragon or help you heal yourself or do different stuff. I like that aspect of the game. I also like the fact that you're going to be upgrading your character as you progress, and it's one that I'm going to keep. I really hope they release a lot more stuff for this because it's great as a family game, and I want to stress that. But kids in my class went nuts for this game, but it's also good as like a game night style game too, where it's like, all right, tonight we're just going to play Dice and Dragons, we're going to level up through, we're going to beat all 8 of the monsters, or maybe we're going to do it over the course of 2 weeks, and people are going to have fun leveling up. Now that being said, it's all purely dice rolling, which will be a turn off some people, and you can get hosed over by the dice. Next we have Launch, a Space Shuttle family card game. 32 years old, 1986. It's all about launching your rocket ship 3 times before everybody else can. And the game is 100% luck. It's just, you know, oh, it's literally, and I said this in the review, draw a card, not the card I need, draw the 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 card, not the card I need. And you're probably going to do that about 5 times throughout the game, where you're just like drawing and not getting what you want. Draw, 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 draw. And that's the biggest problem with this game. It outstays its welcome. It's supposed to go up to 8 players. Dear God, I would never play this with 8 players. 5 players was too lengthy as it was. But Launch, it's okay. The kids had fun with it. That's what I'll say. The kids had fun with it. Is it something worth searching out for? Probably not, unless your kid's like absolutely obsessed with spaceships or something like that. But for the most part, no, this is a pass. That one's going into my class to give to a specific little girl who really loved that game and loves astronauts and stuff like that, and she's on good behavior most of the time. Next we have Scythe, The Rise of Fenris, which I'm not going to give you too many spoilers on, but it's great. It's a fantastic expansion. I don't want to undersell this. You know, Tom Bassley gave it a 10 out of 10. I did not give it a 10 out of 10 because I did think there were some issues with it. But I will say it adds so much to Scythe that it is just spectacular. The story itself, if you're playing this as a legacy game, the story really had us captivated and gripped for probably the first 5 games, and the last 3 kind of tinkered off a little bit. But the real thing that I love here, without going into too many spoilers, is the cooperative version of the game. It becomes like this really in-depth, puzzly game, and I loved it as a cooperative game. And honestly, this expansion probably catapults Scythe into my top 10 or 20 games of all time now. It was already in my top 100. I think it was in my top 50. But this doesn't. I don't want to spoil anything. Watch the review if you're more interested in seeing more, or the spoilers. But man, if you have Scythe, this is one you want to check out. The modules by themselves are great, and the story starts off great, and I really like this. Scythe, The Rise of Fenris, into my collection, going to be in my collection forever. And last but not least, we got Mutants, the card game from Lucky Duck Games. This one's coming to a Kickstarter near you, starting on Halloween. It is a really great, I don't want to say deck building, because while it is at its core a deck building game, it's a really great card game that does a lot of interesting things that veers it off the deck building genre, because you do start off, you have 12 cards, everybody's got the same 12 cards, and then you're going to purchase cards to make your hand better, But you're going to have your own customizable buy row, either because you do pre-constructed decks or because you're drafting them. And then there's different ways to win the game. You can win the game by doing combat. You can win the game by kind of nilling your deck and freezing stuff, or just freezing high-value cards. I really, really dig this game, and I really hope it gets popular because I want to see more cards for the game. I think it's going to do really well. It's based... The only thing I don't like about the game is the theme, because it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it's based, I guess, on a mobile app or something like that from Lithuania, or I don't know, somewhere else. But yeah, Mutants is a card game. Check this one out. Really, really enjoy this game if you don't mind the fact it's 2 to 4 players and slightly medium weight game. So there you go. Mutants is a card game. But this has been another episode of Games In, Games Out. A little bit shorter than normal, but the next one will be probably longer than normal. Who knows? If you enjoy what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know of the games I mentioned. Which one do you hate the most? I don't know. In the comments below, let me know if you could go anywhere and wrestle a bear. In the comments below, let me know, would you fight a wolf for $250,000? For me personally, yes. Yes, I would. As long as it's just one wolf, isolated wolf. Not a wolf pack, I would totally fight a wolf 250 grand. No doubt in my mind. I think I could survive the initial puncture, get a hold of him, and just bite him. Like, he wants to bite me. As soon as I get my hands around his head in some capacity, I'm going to bite him. So he's going to get the bite in, and I'm going to bleed heavily, but I'm going to get control of him, and then I'm probably just going to bite his, maybe like bite his throat, just because I'm going to be trying to keep away from me. I'll just, and then he's going to bleed out, and then I'm just going to hold him. I'm going to hold him until he bleeds out, because he's got a lot less blood than me, and plus I could bite him again if I really wanted to. I mean, it's going to taste pretty gross, but I have so much adrenaline pumping through me by that point, not even going to matter. So I'll probably get 2 or 3 bites in, let him bleed out, go get that patched up, collect my 250 grand. Boom, baby! That's how I do it. Would you fight a wolf for 250 grand? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.